She like emailed him and he said this.
Dr. Chen is the chair, I'm really the co-chair, but that means that we're gonna listen to whatever she says.
So good morning, everyone.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for everybody for being here. As you know, I'll try to begin to ask Dr. Healing if she can see any of the presentation.
Yes, I'm able to see the slides and also can hear your voice very good.
Great.
Yeah, quite well.
Then I'll go ahead and start my presentation. So it's a master's thesis for graduating from International Studies program in University of Wyoming. My topic is how do immigrants of Iraqi Christian identity negotiate becoming American? And by how do they negotiate, I mean what the process of migration takes as they come to US. When they come to US, how does their Christian background and being from Iraq affect their assimilation and integration, and I will further explain that. I can hear.
Yeah, you can mute your computer while you're doing the presentation.
Or me.
Yeah,
Right?
just
Because
mute
the
it.
computer
It's
is
probably
going
the
through the
speaker.
computer.
Oh, is it the computer?
Yeah, I think it's fine. No,
There's no voice.
there's no voice.
If
So
your speakers are
mute,
working.
no, like
Mute
turn down
on
the
your
volume
computer.
on your
Yeah,
computer.
turn down the volume on your computer.
Because you're probably not going to get interrupted in the middle of the presentation,
Yeah.
except for right now.
Okay, so how about now? Still,
No, it's
I can
okay.
hear.
It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Or you don't mind hearing yourself.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and repeat it. Then where I stop, it's really annoying me.
Says the
Is it
speakers.
through the TV speakers? Try turning down the volume on the TV.
Maybe like this? Yeah, it works. Yes. Okay, so my topic again is about Iraqi Christians coming to US and what it takes for them to assimilate or acculturate in the American society so that at the end of the day they call themselves Americans, or other identifications they will choose. When they come to America, the process of migration is not an easy process, and it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of effort from the side of immigrants coming from Iraq. Their background experience, their living conditions in their original country, and the reasons and the factors behind them migrating to US also affects on how they will integrate into the receiving society. What values they change. In Iraq, every country and every culture, every group have their own customs and traditions and beliefs that they carry with them, and they practice while they are in a country. And here it becomes a question when they are trying to migrate and find their places in the receiving society. Are they actually being accepted, or are they actually themselves accepting the change? And what happens when they come to US? When they come, does the process takes them to leave everything behind? Are they still tied to Iraq or to the land or to their history or to some of, let's say, their families or whatever it is that they have left behind? Is the country of the origin becoming something that they will forget about, or will it still be some kind of something that will be hunting them and will stay in their memories for even while they are trying to find their places in US? So my questions, the questions behind this research, whereas I explained what attracts them, the push and pull factors, and what are the problems they face when they come to US. and oh yeah, of course, and how important is land when they are in US and when they are in Iraq. So my answers and the objectives of this research is it's very important for the results of this research, because they will eventually identify the future for me at least. What I am trying to understand is there going to be some kind of future for them, considering that in Iraq they are considered as minorities, and in US they are considered as refugees and immigrants. So when is the time where they will eventually find themselves someplace that they will call home, or what is the time that they will ever feel that they have some kind of identity of their own that is also believed to be tied to land and countries and borders and all that. So is there a future, meaning if they stay as minorities in Iraq, as is their situation currently and has been over the past like more than many years, they will be still considered discriminated against, considered second class population, and they will not be feeling that they ever will be considered the real people of this or of Iraq, or they will never feel that they actually have are considered as contributors no matter what they do. And this is actually seen in the daily life. It's experienced through the wars and through a lot of incidents that happen to them. So all this, that is when they are considered as minorities in Iraq. And when they come to US, how is the receiving society viewing them? Are they still those migrants that are looked down to, and they are not appreciated or discriminated again? So this is also another question. And what will be their, like, as a whole the idea of the research as what's the future of this minority if the migration continues not only to US and to Michigan, which is the main location that I have focused on this research. Where is going to be their where is it going to be in their future if this minority group is still trying to survive and they find a place in Iraq, then and the migration continues and the factors pushing them to leave the country continues, then where are they going to be considered? What will happen to them? And as they assimilate into the receiving society, are they going to vanish eventually? So this is also important for me, and also it's important personally for me, because I just wanted to know what to decide in the future. Is it worth to stay in a country where I am still considered as a minority, or thinking about choice of migration should also be open to me, and I should go also with that. So for this purpose, I have reviewed some literature that I believe were very relevant to my research topic. The most relevant was about identity and how identity is formed in the receiving society, and especially in America, how assimilation and integration happens, how people are added to the fabric of society and considered as one. That was by Mary Waters. And then one very significant book that I have read, and I think it's one of the very rare publications and the very first publications about the Christians and Chaldeans of Iraqi background in Michigan, and that is also by Mary, although it's a very old publication and it has a couple other versions, but similar ones, but later versions. But I think this was also one that I could access and use for my research. Other two very important articles that I really wanted to focus on were from James Duncan and Nancy Duncan, and then also from Derek Alderman. These people were talking about place and naming. Nancy and James consider a place or the new location is people. They consider a place something to be created by people and individuals creating it, adding it, giving it some kind of identity. No matter what, like they can build houses the way they want that will reflect their culture, their customs, their traditions, or they can reflect it in a way that would allow them to feel that they are in a home despite being in a receiving society in US or another distant country. And then another one was like Derek, as I mentioned, he is also a cultural geographer, and he was explaining how naming places and naming in general actually reflects persons and people's identities. And I will also, it was really very useful in my research because when I was doing landscape interpretation, I came across a lot of attractions that I was amazed by how these people coming to US, the Iraqi immigrants coming to Michigan, have created themselves that space, he calls, that would identify them as people from Iraq or people from Middle East. So again, in addition to landscape interpretation that was inspired by these two articles, I also used, going back to method. Okay, so I also used document analysis. That's in order to look at the Immigration Act and the change of the immigration laws throughout the history of US, and what times immigration for Middle Eastern started. It actually did start with the second and third waves of immigration to US, and people coming to US were from Lebanon, Egypt, and then Iraq, but they were different than the currently coming immigrants and refugees. They were actually some of the skilled, and they were actually some of those who actually made the choice of migrating rather than being forced to leave their country. And then most importantly for my research, I went to Michigan and I conducted 4 interviews with the population, Iraqi Christian population, without differentiating between Chaldeans, Assyrians, and Syriacs or Armenians. I actually didn't find any Armenians. That's because I didn't include them, because they also are distinct, because they don't speak Aramaic, they speak Syriac, they speak Armenian. So although they are also they have a large population of Christians in Iraq, also in Michigan, but these 30-something interviews were very inspiring, and each of them told a different story about how migration happens and how that has impacted their lives and how they are acculturating into the society in Michigan. What were their struggles and what were their the receiving society offered them, what were their gains and contribution, when was the times where they felt that they actually are people from this community. That also was some answers that I got from my interviews. For this research I had 2 hypotheses, and one of them was, as I considered, and because I had traveled to Arizona previously, and Arizona has some smaller population of Iraqi Christians. I thought that this might also apply to people in Michigan, and that is that they have created themselves that small group that is in a bigger society, although they are in US, but among themselves they are together, they practice same things, and that they are somehow trying to be Chaldeans, Assyrians, and Syriacs, but in their own way, or in an American way. And then my second hypothesis was that when these and it's very important, I think the second hypothesis is that when these immigrants come to US, and this is also I think I could find some kind of support to it by in the ethnic options by Waters, because it also supports the idea that as long as these immigrants are staying in US, no matter how they try to preserve, no matter what their intentions are about their identity and about their country of origin, but there still will come some time, if it's not the second generation or third generation, but as time passes, this people will actually assimilate. They will reach point of assimilation that they will be considered as Americans despite their looks. Maybe their looks will be a little bit different, but they will still be considered as a part of America as the rest of the communities that are present, because America is a land that has different people in US are in have different backgrounds and are immigrants by themselves. So for this discussion, in order to discuss and put more points of this research, so I will be talking about some of the attempts of success and some of the attempts of failure of being Americans, and that is through the gains and contributions of the immigrants coming to US. So I would argue that these people are coming to US and they will only feel that they are actually Americans, and they will want to be identified as Americans when they are actually contributing to the society. As long as they are adding to the society, no matter what is the way they are adding to it, either it is through their work, either they are culturally adding to it, they will feel the value of the receiving society, and they will want to be associated with it rather than the old country. And for these, there's also a lot of attempts from the organizations, from the non-government organizations, also from the families. For the families, and also for the church that is currently present in Michigan, to actually advise people coming to US to push them to assimilate, to try to integrate into the society, be more accepted, because all these